Since 2009, it's a recession-level spike in layoffs. This report comes from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. They say it is the 12th highest monthly total in the 32 years Challenger's been tracking jobs cuts. The 11 others, and 4 of them came during the pandemic, all occurred when the US was in recession.
Now, these initial reports could end up being incorrect, but if they are not, it looks like the effect of all the chaos and the tariffs and the job cuts and all that, they're gonna have the effect that you would expect, which is a lot of damage being done to the economy. And it looks like the good jobs numbers that we've had for quite a while now in America, that's gone, which is bad news for the people who are gonna be affected by this, and politically could end up being bad news for Donald Trump as well. But it's not like he doesn't have his defenders. Here is Fox Business, I believe, jumping into action to try to protect Donald Trump from the consequences of his actions.
Some very, very smart people are telling me that the jobs number that's coming out, the February jobs number that's coming out Friday, could be flat, even negative, Brookie. The GDP Now tracker from the Atlanta Fed is showing, I mean, for the first quarter, a -2.5% or -2.8%. And we've had lousy numbers on things like housing and business investment. My generic point here with respect to affordability and the economy is we're going to have to suffer through some bad news. This had nothing to do with Trump. Trump's program's not in yet. And I got people on the left who are blaming Trump. How can you blame Trump when he wasn't president, when these seeds were planted?
Well, you couldn't be more right about that, because we've only been here 30 plus days. You can't turn an entire economy around in 30 days.
Well, I'm gonna have to push back a little bit, because it appears that you can turn the economy around in 30 days. You guys have done that. Now, it's in the wrong direction, but things are sure different than they were 30 days ago. And also, pause for a second. From the tone, the way both of them were speaking, which one was the Trump administration official and which was the journalist? Because they both sounded equally defensive towards Donald Trump. And I love, was it Kudlow there, I think? Larry? I think so. He's like, well, Trump hasn't even had his thing. What are you talking about? DOGE has been decimating all these contracts. They've been firing all of these people. Donald Trump has started trade wars 3 times already. Chaos everywhere. He's launching crypto reserve things. They're rounding up he's done plenty. And so this is now in his lap. If he gets credit for the stock market going up a year before he's inaugurated, then he damn sure gets the discredit when it goes down when he's been president for a couple of months. And Kudlow's trying to imply, well, this is just stuff baked in from Joe Biden. Well, hold on a second again, because I'm old enough to remember that jobs numbers were good up until this one. In December, we added 256,000 jobs, surpassing expectations. It was the largest increase since March of 2024. In November of last year, jobs numbers were eventually revised down, but still to 212,000. So why is it that under Biden, it's jobs growing, jobs growing, jobs growing, inflation down, inflation down, inflation down, stock market hitting record highs. Trump comes in 2 months later, all of those things have been reversed, and it's Biden that should get the discredit for that? Hell no, Francesca, but what do you think?
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Yeah, heads I win, tails you lose. It's the way Trump runs literally everything. It is, he only wants the good news. The woman with the on-the-go printer can tell you that. She's responsible for handing him all the good headlines. But this is what's incredible, because the other day we heard in his non-State of the Union, him basically taking credit for a Joe Biden economy, and he wants all the credit. He says the things we've done in only 44 days, and we should, all of these plane crashes should be attributed to us. But I think, John, this speaks to a bigger question of the narrative around the economy that I know a lot of folks were talking about. A lot of liberal centrist pundits were talking about around the election, which is Joe Biden's economy. I mean, honestly, stunningly was doing very well, especially in terms of job growth, right? And that didn't mean it was cheaper to own a home, certainly not.
Yeah.
Interest rates were, in my opinion, stupidly kept incredibly high, boxed a lot of people out of the market. That was not good. I think they should have gone after, done actual price controls and gone after the corporate price gougers who are now being allowed to sort of run fancy free under Trump. But it's kind of incredible to be like, Joe Biden got us out. Put aside the health implications around the vaccine, but got us out of this massive economic hole in his 4 years in office because he was able to do the American Rescue Plan with no help from any Republican whatsoever.
Yeah.
Additionally, with the Inflation Reduction Act. And, I think this is where a lot of MAGA, they're misguided, obviously. They think, oh, there's all this bloat in the government, get rid of the deep state, get rid of all the government bloat, la, la, la. I believe Elon Musk, I can't wait to, be another Neuralink chip, like,
And
patient.
chimp, both.
And the reality is that, like, they don't understand that the layoffs in the public sector apply to the private sector, right? That there is a cause and effect. You cannot decimate the public sector and public sector employees without also decimating the private sector. And so these jobs are gonna be lost on all fronts. If contracts aren't fulfilled by the federal government, the private sector is also going to feel it.
Yeah. I mean, look, and again, we've been logging every day. Our viewers can attest to it. All of the negative things that he's doing. You don't get to say you haven't had your agenda. You especially don't get to say he hasn't even had his agenda yet, when Trump every day is like, nobody's ever done it as fast as me. And everybody, like all the conservatives are like, yeah, it's the fastest we've ever seen. Well, then you get the discredit faster than we've ever had before. That's how it works. And for all the, again, I'm sure there's many people in the audience that could detail many of the ways that the Joe Biden recovery didn't lift everybody back up. Inflation growth was going down, but the inflation that had happened is still there. So consumer prices were still high. This is not rose-colored glasses. We were incredibly critical and still will be of the economy, but it also now looks like things could be much worse.
Oh yeah.
So just bear that in mind.